The Archivist's Tale. It was in one of those still nights when even the wind forgets to speak that I first heard the whisper. I had just settled into my favorite nook beneath the great tree, the archive nestled safely within its roots. The lantern above me flickered with a tired glow, and the scent of dry parchment filled the hollow air. I was not young then, and certainly not now. My feathers had begun to lose their luster, the brown faded to sepia, like the pages I so lovingly turned. My spectacles rested low on my beak, and the staff at my side, carved from the branch of a tree that no longer exists, leaned gently against the table. I remember the sound clearly. It was like a sigh escaping from a locked chest. I followed it, though I already knew where it led. There, behind a crooked shelf of forgotten books and brittle scrolls, was the book, the one I had never dared to open. No title, no markings, only a clasp of dull brass and a soft warmth, as though it remembered being held. When I touched it, something stirred, not in the room, but in me. A memory that was not mine. I opened the book. The ink shimmered faintly, as if written by moonlight itself. The story began with a girl who could speak to stones and a river that refused to flow. Her name was lost, but her voice rang clear in my mind. I read of her journey into the sunken forest, where the trees weep amber and owls never sleep. I read until the candle wept its last tear. And even then, the words echoed. I do not know if she lived or if she ever truly was, but I remember her. The book has since vanished, as all true stories do. Only the scent of its pages remains, and the trail it left in my chest, a gentle ache, like homesickness for a place that may never have existed. Sometimes I still listen for the whisper, and sometimes I answer. There is a silence here that only stories understand. Every once in a while, a wind will pass through the hollow shelves, not a wind from the outside world, but one made of memory and ink. It lifts pages, turns them gently, and disappears before I can catch it. It was after one such breeze that I found a feather, not my own, pressed between two volumes no one had touched in 100 years. It shimmered faintly, glowed even. I followed the glow to a drawer I had forgotten existed, hidden beneath years of dust and string. Inside was a single parchment, no more than a few lines. In the end, the story tells you, listen carefully, Archivist, not with ears, but with wonder. Who had written it? Perhaps myself in another age, perhaps the girl with the voice of river stones, or perhaps the archive itself. I once believed stories were only memories we preserve. But I have come to understand they are also futures we dream. Paths not yet taken, but waiting for our steps. Some nights, when the archive is quiet and the leaves above rustle like soft voices, I wonder how many of those stories I have yet to meet. They do not all come in books. One arrived in the eyes of a fox, peering in through the round window, watching as I traced a forgotten script. Another arrived as music, a soft flute's melody carried in the wind. No source, no end. And once an acorn landed beside my staff and whispered a tale of the first tree to dream. If you asked me what the archive truly is, I would not say a library. It is a place where time sleeps and dreaming awakens, where lost names find a home and silence is not the absence of sound, but the presence of listening. I have written little of my own, but perhaps that was never my task. I was not meant to author. I was meant to remember, to keep. Still, now and then I feel a pull, a page unwritten. And I wonder if someone someday will find this tale. Not because they were looking, but because they needed it. I am not sure how long I've been here. Time folds in on itself among the shelves. There are mornings I awake to find the sun has forgotten to rise, or that a flower has bloomed in a book long closed. But I am content to tend, to remember, to whisper back when the archive speaks. So if you find yourself beneath the branches of a tree that hums like memory, if the scent of ink lingers in the air, though no pen has touched parchment, if you hear your name in a voice made of pages, you are welcome here. You always were. The Clockroot Ledger. They say time cannot be stored, but that is not entirely true. Beneath the archive, past shelves of breathless scrolls and brittle ink, lies a chamber few have reason to enter. The stairs creak with memory, and the air is dense, not with dust, but with waiting. It is there by the roots of the old clock tree that I found the ledger. The tree, long petrified and grown into the stone, once ticked, not with gears nor magic, but with a rhythm only the archive could hear, a soft thrum like a pulse beneath bark. Now it is silent. Still, the shape remains. Branches curled like calligraphy, roots coiled into spirals, reaching through cracked tile like searching hands. And there, nestled between the roots like a sleeping thought, was the book. No title adorned its spine, but when I opened it, the pages sighed. I had not seen the Clockroot Ledger in many seasons. Its ink, the color of twilight, did not fade with age, though it trembled slightly when touched, like the last leaf of autumn. Each page held a name, and beside each name, a time. Not a date, not a year, a time. Some had only a moment. 6:42 candlelight. Others, entire evenings, after rain, before regret. One read simply, when the moon blinked. I understood then, these were not appointments, they were entries of when a soul was most itself. The owl within me stirred. I remembered a phrase from a long-forgotten chronicle, "Not all hours pass, some settle." And here they had settled, caught in bark and paper, recorded by no hand I knew. Still the pages turned. One name shivered as I read it aloud. I will not repeat it here, not out of fear, but reverence. As I spoke it, the tree gave a faint creak, and I swear I heard a whisper like wind through chimes. Its time was written thus, when the ink ran backward. A memory flickered, a girl laughing in a hall of mirrors, a fox with two shadows, a clock with no hands. None of these were mine, but all of them remembered me. I do not know what binds a name to a moment in the Clockroot Ledger. Perhaps the tree listens, perhaps it writes, perhaps it dreams the time into place and waits for someone, anyone, to notice. As I traced the entries, I began to feel the pull of something old, not dangerous but deliberate, the way a tide pulls a boat not to drown it but to carry it home. I found my own name, not where I expected. It was not under the owl Archivist, nor beneath the feathers I wear now. It was a name I had not spoken in centuries, one I thought forgotten. The time beside it read, "Just before the candle learned to dance." I do not know what it means, but I remembered a night long ago when the light flickered for no reason and I wept without knowing why. I closed the book. The roots of the clock tree pulsed once, softly, like an old friend nodding off to sleep. The room grew colder or quieter, I could not tell, but the ledger no longer trembled. It was content. I left it there, I always do. Some books are not meant to be carried, they carry us. Now when I walk the halls of the archive and pass a certain crack in the stone, I sometimes feel that pulse. And sometimes I whisper a name to it, yours perhaps, and wait to see if the tree remembers. If the root stirs, if the ink listens. Because I believe now that time can be stored, not in clocks nor in sand, but in the weight of a glance, the hush before a truth, the tremble of a page just before it turns. The Clockroot Ledger keeps those hours, and I keep the ledger because someone must.